When was the last time you had frozen yogurt?
You know, it's been a little while since I've had frozen yogurt. I couldn't tell you the last time.
What's the point? If you're going to eat something that tastes like ice cream, why not just have regular ice cream?
And I think there's just as many carbs and calories.
It reminds me of the fad diet crap from the 80s.
No fat.
You know, like rice cakes.
Oh, rice cakes.
And Caro or fake.
Yeah, carob.
Yeah.
Carob,
whatever it is. Busting a move.
Welcome to the Liberty Without Compromise live stream broadcast. We are the only local live liberty-minded program in Kootenai County where we expose the political power players, politicians, and the social influencers. That number seems to be growing by the day. We're your hosts, Dan and Dawna Wilson. I'm here to screen your questions and comments. Here's how this is going to work. Whichever platform you're watching, you're going to put your questions and comments right there into the comment section, and that gets you in participation here with the discussion. We'll get those queued up into the program when it's appropriate to the conversation. You're watching us live right now. You're going to want to share this feed to your page or profile so more of our community here in Kootenai County or across the nation can join in on the conversation. Like it and share it. For anybody listening back on our podcast, be sure to catch us live every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. A reminder, opinions expressed are ours only, not necessarily that of any of our advertisers, sponsors, affiliates, or guests.
True.
Tonight, the Blueprint, Uncut Audio, Coordinated Defense, and the network protecting Pastor Paul Van Noy of Candlelight Christian Fellowship. We're going to break down the newly released Uncut Audio from the August 15th, 2024 meeting with Pastor Paul Van Noy and Davalu Cummings. Audio that, for now, serves as a blueprint in understanding the coordinated defense emerging around Van Noy today. We're going to examine the same tactics, the same operatives, and the same narrative control spanning from 2024 to this past week. The political religious network working overtime to protect Van Noy, the actors running interference online, and how this web of influence reaches deep into Kootenai County's political ecosystem. We're not going to air the audio, the uncut audio tonight. We are going to make that available to you. We will provide the link currently up on YouTube. We're going to show you why that matters now, how it connects to current events, and where the pattern leads. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's your host, Dan Wilson.
So glad to see you. What a week it has been. Hopefully you had some time to reflect on the things that you are thankful for. I know that Dawna and I enjoyed 4 days of, it wasn't uneventful.
No?
We were still working through the weekend on this topic that we brought to you guys last week. Many of you have sent in your messages and requested meetings, and we have had a chance to meet with even more people that have been wronged and affected by the Candlelight crowd. And it has been a constant burr under the saddle, so to speak, because it's relentless. And we have so much that we want to share with you. We are, of course, consolidating things and getting ready to do another dump here shortly. But what have we done in the past week? What are some of the highlights?
Oh, goodness.
I just threw you for a loop, didn't I?
Yeah, you totally did.
Well, because I'm going off of your
we've had more
directions tonight.
We've had more detractors saying, as we are bringing facts and evidence and information to the community that they're otherwise not going to get.
Yeah.
We've had some of very similar sounding phrases from operatives coming onto our platform and saying things like, well, remind me what county you're the sheriff of again. I looked at Bonner, Boundary, Kootenai. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
Well, sir, it's the county of common sense.
It is. All day long. It does not change common sense. It is the same since the beginning of time and will remain the same through the end of time. But yeah, we have been hard at work. We, with the holiday, we still were able to get prep in for this show. And you, why don't you tell us about the new YouTube video that we have just released and give us a little bit background as to why. I mean, I can just hear him now. Wilsons have nothing new to say. They're just regurgitating. Mm-hmm. But why are we now putting out this newest edition of the leaked Paul Van Noy, Davalu Cummings audio?
Yeah, I mean, the rollout on this one's been a year at least in the making. We originally read transcripts because we were trying to protect the person who had gone in and done that recording where she was meeting with her pastor at the time. And she felt for self-protection, she needed to record that audio. And I know that she sat on it for quite a while before she released it to us. We hung on to it. So yeah, this isn't for the effort of regurgitating that, because we did transcripts, then we released an edited version.
What do you mean by edited?
It was editing out the source, the young woman who went in to meet with her pastor. Originally, we were protecting her and her name. So the only thing that was edited out of that audio was her voice. And unfortunately, it's that side of the conversation where you're getting the questions and the tone and the temperature in the room. Yeah. So there was loss of context there, and having to do that, I think it wasn't as powerful as it could have been, but you were able to hear.
I don't know. I think that with Paul,
potent.
What Paul said on his own was definitely soundbite worthy. To hear what a dirtbag this so-called shepherd of his flock is. The guy's a first-class fraud con man. But when we released now this source, and we're going to release it, or you've released it in its entirety, it's because Stephanie Fetzer and Aaron Barnard doxed her. They doxed the source.
Yeah. And what we shared with you last week or a couple weeks ago is that the only way Stephanie Fetzer could have known who was in the room, because the only people present in the room were Paul Van Noy, Davalu Cummings, and then Monica. And you're going to hear, when you hear now, the full unedited release version along with her mom. So yeah. There are those four people in the room. So the only way, obviously, Stephanie Fetzer and Aaron Barnard could have doxed Monica or gotten that information was through either Paul Van Noy or Davalu Cummings.
Stephanie has bitched in the past about being doxed. I mean,
we're actually going to talk about that more tonight. That's coming up. But that's one of the tactics she uses. One
of the things that we will state, just to give you some relief, we are not going to play it tonight. That's for you. You know where to find it, and Donna will put up the QR code for those of you that, there you go, that beautiful link. Go listen to it yourself. You can hear it in its entirety. And for the Fetzers and Barnards and the Candlelight cronies and some of you KCRCC folks, once again, we always tell the truth here. And despite the fact that we were accused of making it up and then editing it and mixing it up so it sounded worse. Now you get to actually hear exactly how bad it is, including the former Homeland Security agent, Davalu Cummings, and what she was doing during this meeting.
Fascinating audio, because you hear even more from Monica's side that the tone in which this conversation took place. You'll hear her and her mom. You'll hear Davalu Cummings, because this part also has never before been heard. But toward the end, you hear Davalu actually following Terry and Monica down the stairs out to their car, and has another ear-bending conversation, trying to influence them, apologizing for how she might have been perceived or the tone. And she was trying to play a little bit of damage control there in the parking lot, bragging about another nonprofit that she's created. And I think, again, it's like a lot of times these people, they're their own worst enemy, because they're divulging a bunch of information which was nothing anybody ever asked about.
Yeah.
And it was very revealing. And then you hear, I'll love it when you hear what Monica says at the end, when you can hear the confusion in their voices, where it was that after 2 hours, her and her mom sat down in her car, closed the door, and they're like, what just happened?
Yeah.
I mean, you could hear them trying to process that, and stating, whatever it is we had the objective of doing going into that meeting, we accomplished nothing. They didn't let us talk. So anyway, yeah, we're not going back over that, not listening to it word for word, but what we've realized is it really has become the blueprint for where these political operations have headed, and the exact same maneuvering that's happening with people coming around to protect Paul Van Noy through the current accusations that are out there. It's the same tactics and techniques and the same people. And that conversation, which I think even when Monica had that originally in 2024, she kind of thought, well, that was a nothing burger, she might say. And it turned out to just be much more monumental than she realized at the time.
When we listened to it, the very first time, it was during the campaign. It was in the heat of the last stretch. It would have been great to have released it at that time, but as we've articulated on previous episodes, we did not, because we care about people at Candlelight, the people that are doing good, that are there for good intentions. It wasn't our desire to erode your trust in your places of faith. But now that is in the rear view mirror, the campaign is over. It was right to bring it back. You guys that have been watching this have already heard this story, but you got to remember that there are people that have just signed on, that we have to give a little bit of this history too, because they come in and go, well, what does this all mean? The best resource is the Liberty Without Compromise website, libertywithoutcompromise.com, as well as our YouTube page, The Idaho Sheriff. Yes, I'm still going by The Idaho Sheriff. That was my handle during the campaign. But we have 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was on a Friday, I think the 21st. So just a couple weeks ago, we had Monica, who recorded that. We interviewed her, and it was right after she got doxxed by the Candlelight crowd. And it's a fascinating video for people to watch, to get her perspective of what was going on that you can't tell just by the audio.
Yeah. The doxing, by the way, we were fully prepared. I mean, we were steps ahead of these people, knowing they're not going to dox her right away, because it would be an admission that meeting actually took place, and that was Paul Van Noy and Davalu Cummings in their own words. Because originally the Stephanie Fetzers and the Aaron Barnards came out and started spinning, this was all just made up. Mm-hmm. Well, then that tune changed because that's when we were reading transcripts. Then when we released audio, well, that was more difficult to deny. But what happened was they waited another entire year until Van Noy is surrounded by scandal right now. So a couple of weeks ago is when they chose, this is when we're now going to pull this out of our hat, and we're going to spread who it was that was in that meeting and dox her. Mm-hmm. We were prepared for that. I mean, we knew that it would happen at some point, but it would only be at the point that it was advantageous for them politically to do so. Yeah. To, keep the ball moving. Look over here, not over there.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that we keep reoccurring in our conversation with all of you is look for the patterns. Dawna just said this a few minutes ago. Look at the common patterns of behavior by the people. If you pay attention, they tell on themselves. Watch the posts, listen to what the loudmouths say the most, and that's Stephanie Fetzer, Aaron Barnard, because they are the ringleaders. Sometimes Shelley Kroll. Shelley Kroll, by the way, don't bother private messaging us. We have nothing to say to you. I just want to throw that out there. You made yourself known a long time ago, especially the way that you behaved around my disabled daughter during the campaign. You're a dirtbag, and I want nothing to do with you. So save your fingers, the punching, and quit texting us. We want nothing to do with you. So you've already chosen your side. You made your bed. Go lie in it.
And you can save quoting scripture, because I already know for a fact you're a liar. Yeah. We observed you lying. We have proof on tape of the time that you came to Dan Wilson's public event to ask your questions. Mm-hmm. The pages and pages in your notepad. Getting in front of everybody else to the point where they were pissed off because you were hogging so much of the space. We just haven't bothered. Yeah. It's a sideline. You've been enough of a non-entity, no matter how influential you think you are. But I understand that it is an advantage to you to surround yourself with people in the line of work that you do. It's called networking, and you get off on being next to elected officials or important people in the room. So of course, that's what you're going to defend. Yeah. And it's all flowing from the same source, and we're following the trail. So we talked about releasing this full version of the audio and what it reveals in that meeting. Some of the things are Van Noy and Cummings attempting to control the political narrative. You're going to hear that when you listen. They shape Monica's opinions about candidates, or attempt to do that. Pushing disinformation about political opposition. They present themselves as gatekeepers of community influence. Van Noy is bragging about needing to be approached the right way. Mm-hmm. And then they're pressuring her through emotional and spiritual manipulation. So why that connects to now is the same tactics are being used publicly against Danielle Van Noy, Paul's daughter. The same ones. Davalu Cummings, we have no doubt, is still involved as a political strategist behind closed doors. Yeah. You'll be very interested to listen to her duplicitous comments, trying to come across as just a churchgoer who's sitting in this meeting.
Well, she's involved. I want to go down some of the, when we're talking about Davalu, and this, again, it all ties back into the Danielle Van Noy and what she has come out with the past 2 weeks, along with her husband, Gordon, and Alyssa and others. But Davalu Cummings, as we had discovered off of her LinkedIn profile, we have the screenshots, says that she was a special agent with DHS, Homeland Security. She reiterates this in the audio to Monica.
Very clear now.
She worked with human trafficking division back for 15 years in New Mexico.
Sex crimes against children, to be specific. I listened again to it today.
Interesting how she hangs out with Bob Norris, who has claimed over and over and over again that no human trafficking is taking place in Kootenai County. Well, what it is it's just, your kids getting online and talking to some predator. But it's not real child abuse. It's happening right here. Sex abuse, selling your children in Kootenai County. Ask Nate Lewis from the incident what really is happening. But Davalu Cummings, she is in Paul's inner circle. She is an advisor. This is also reinforced by her showing up to be the counsel with Paul when Paul went to talk with, I want to call her Little Monica because she's like a wisp. She's 90 pounds soaking wet. She's not a threat to anybody. Well, she's got an intellect.
Yeah.
But Davalu has been involved with the Kootenai County Women's Republican. I can never remember. So it's a stupidest name. Women's Federated Republican.
She talks about that because, again, that part of the conversation got truncated because we were protecting Monica and her mom. But you can hear all of that now.
She
brags about everything she is.
Was on the Hayden Arts Commission. She is part of the Kootenai County. Well, we have the emails where she's advising the Regional Air Support Unit, that helicopter program. So we have emails going back and forth between her and Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. Here's one for you guys. Those of you that were a part of General Blaine Holt's Kootenai County Resiliency Group, K-Surge, Davalu was a part of that organization. Now, why is this interesting? Because in the leaked audios, she says that she's worried that I basically attract all the extremists when I was running for sheriff. She's painting it, along with Paul, that I was somehow a right wing, going to start a civil war by their own words, that I was going to attract all of the fringe group, the former military guys, the people that were into conspiracies. And yet she's embedded with many of you that were a part of this preparedness group. Totally legit group. But my guess is she was there to spy on many of you. See, it's not what they say when they're in the public. It's what they're saying behind closed doors. She's been a part of, we haven't even listed everything that she's a part of, but she is a real problem. My belief is she's here. She's up to no good. I want to know whether or not she's really, truly retired, or if she is a contractor for Homeland Security. She was an Obama-era Homeland Security agent. So bad news. Why is Paul surrounding himself with the likes of Davalu Cummings? And Bob Norris is continually advised by Davalu. She has been shown to be an advisor to Norris.
You're going to find in that meeting also she plays dumb about the
good cop, bad cop,
and plays dumb about the helicopter program, trying to discourage what you had come out and expose regarding that helicopter being either uninsured or underinsured. Why do we need this? The money behind it, the entire setup or structure of it was a failure. And you'll hear in that meeting that she's positioning it as though, hey, I'm a person who likes to dig. So I asked so many questions until I felt confident that this program was good. And playing dumb.
Yeah.
And then come to find out who's one of the pilots of
her husband.
There you go.
Former Borders and Customs pilot David Cummings.
And so the point, again, behind closed doors, presenting this thing of objectivity to discount and discredit Monica, who is going in there to have a conversation with her pastor, playing dumb or objective. And you think, yeah, that's kind of a conflict of interest. And so not at all.
They have rallied around Paul for a reason.
They have.
What do you think that reason is?
Well, it's hard to know. I mean, we've speculated on this. What things do people who have come, what things do political operatives who have come here from other places, what things do they already know versus who wanted to get involved and is now part of covering things up that they maybe learned along the way. And I know you've got your own speculation and perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we have alluded to those from time to time, but there is a reason. We are talking about an extremely heinous thing. Let's reframe what we're talking about. We are talking about the daughter of the man who is the lead pastor for what he describes as over 1,000-member church. He claims that he is I believe it is Coeur d'Alene's pastor, although there has been records request to the city of Coeur d'Alene, and they can't determine
he's probably Coeur d'Alene's pastor the same way you're the Idaho sheriff.
That's true. But Paul Van Noy is, just to be fair, just for Jeffrey Worley, Paul Van Noy started Candlelight late 90s, came here from California. We listened to Alyssa last week. That was a kid. Her stepfather was one of the associate pastors. But Danielle Van Noy has come out and publicly stated that her father knew that she was abused by a neighbor, Jacob Saldana, And because he refused or did not report it to law enforcement, sounds like handled it internally. As a result, there was no justice for Danielle, and there definitely was no justice for the other victims that apparently came along. Now, I received late, so I wasn't able to go through them in detail, but I do have an arrest, a Kootenai County Sheriff's Office arrest incident report back from around 2019 on Jacob Saldana for sex assault against a minor. So I'm not ready to get into too much detail. Hopefully next week we can pin that a little more together for the people. But these are serious allegations that we deserve an answer for. We talked about last week that when something of this magnitude comes out, if you're in law enforcement, if you were CEO of a company, in education, you take administrative leave, and a group like Net Grace comes in, and they are a third party. They don't take the place of official investigators, law enforcement, but what they do is they look through patterns and find out where there is fault and where people that should have been doing the right thing and haven't been, they are identifying these weaknesses, and they're giving a report back to the congregation, which should be in full transparency.
Yeah, let's just say, let's call this not even a moral or spiritual matter. Set that aside. From a level of professionalism, if the accusations by your daughter come out and you're confirming, there's evidence that you have responded to that and verified those facts, times, places, names, and failure to protect. That is a moment just on a level of professionalism that you step back. I won't say step down's a strong word, because sometimes people say he needs to step down.
No, but take an absence.
At bare minimum, take a leave of absence, step back.
But he hasn't done that.
Well, and instead, he's got Murray on staff being cavalier and arrogant online. He's got Sarah Bailey running her mouth. So to me,
hey, Murray, by the way, have you and Sarah, what's your relationship? We'd like an official statement, because we're getting many sources coming and saying that they question your relationship with Sarah Bailey. I'm not accusing you of anything, nor am I saying that there's anything wrong, but we want to know what's going on here. What is going on with the other staff issues over the years? When we get a chance to finally come out, because we have verified it and can say it 100%, there is so much corruption inside under Paul's leadership, and he goes in and he attacks, like you said.
Yeah.
Instead of being humble, instead of shutting his mouth, no, he calls his daughter his thorn in the flesh. And then you've got that Matt P. Smith, who is the retired rocker that's in elder care or something.
Band sounds pretty good, though.
They do. But he comes out and he says, savage, boss move. He Paul's own congregation, they're like the old gladiators. They're watching from the crowd, bread and circus. They are eating this up. And Paul doesn't come out and make a statement. No, he inflames it, and he continues to this very day to ridicule his daughter and to talk about how persecuted he is right now. He is so persecuted, and the church themselves, all the members are being persecuted. And Danielle and Gordon have laid out, half a dozen different items that they have requested Paul to answer. Paul has acknowledged them, but he refuses. And Judgment Day is coming. It is not a matter of if, but when. Now, we have it on very good authority that Coeur d'Alene Police has already begun an investigation, and that several witnesses and or victims have already met with Coeur d'Alene investigators. This is not going away. And anybody that is tied into this, you probably better lawyer up, would be my guess.
We continue to have people reporting into us. Again, we're not law enforcement. We're not here to officially legally, we're not advising people, but what there is there's safety, and they finally believe I'm going to be heard. Prior to this didn't matter. I tried to take the proper steps in approaching church leadership, approaching the pastor, and it fell on deaf ears. And so what we're now receiving on our end are plenty of reports of improper relationship issues on staff, congregants that came with concerns, not just assault concerns, as what this case is, what's been specific to allegations that have come out recently, but all kinds of bad behavior. And it was not dealt with. So we can't speak or respond to every single one of those, but what I can tell you is there's enough of a pattern there. And Dan and I said at the top, what you're doing is you're following the patterns and the patterns of behavior. That is telling you what you need to know. And there are enough reports and enough of a pattern there to say, if all of these problems and issues are going on internally, that is a top-down problem. That is a Paul Van Noy top-down problem.
You got several things going on here. For some reason, you have Davalu that's involved in all these things monitoring. Okay, and that ties in with Bob Norris, who claims no human trafficking takes place in Kootenai County, tied in with the helicopter program. But then here's the other issue. You have a church that is making a lot of money. It is a big business. I look at Secretary of State. I didn't pull it today to show, but there's like 8 or 9 Candlelight entities showing with the Idaho Secretary of State.
Yeah, and I don't think people understand. I mean, how can you put that in simplest terms? You have a nonprofit organization, and then churches can make
many auxiliaries,
endless auxiliary organizations.
They're not accountable to the IRS. They don't file 990s, so they can basically do whatever they want as long as they're doing it in support of the main body. So publishing, you have facilities, you have international missions. All these things are places that can generate income. And as we heard last week, Alyssa talking about missionaries that are being supported that never actually go to the site, but are living in luxury condos. So what are we seeing here? Why is everybody so invested in this Candlelight issue? I can tell you it's money and power. Let me just be extremely blunt. Money and power is my belief after I've seen the evidence that I've seen, spoke with the people that I've spoke to. But you know what? Why I'm led to believe that all of these accounts are likely true, because I understand that some are just disgruntled. That'll change your, your bias. But I dealt with Paul directly last year, or not physically, but his gaslighting and lying. And go back to the hidden audio. Listen to what Paul does and says. Paul, along with Stephanie Fetzer and Aaron and Lucky Barnard and others, Davalu, started in a smear campaign the very minute that I entered into the sheriff's race. And in real time, Kootenai Spectator, that Telegram social platform.
It ends up being almost nonstop, 24 hours a day political chatter, where it's a few of them with their heads put together, regardless of 600 being in the group. It's a few key voices that are in constant political chatter and strategizing and kicking around their ideas. I do. For those of you who joined us, we are heading in a direction in this conversation. We're showing you are patterns. We may be referring back to some things that happened during a 2024 campaign, but what that revealed to us were political operatives who were very determined to take a guy like Dan Wilson out of the race.
You couldn't have me because you knew I'd start poking around. You knew exactly what was going to happen, and that could not be allowed to occur. I mean, that they were just one faction, right? I mean, I lost. You can say that I have, that I'm soured on it. Well, sure. I mean, if you lose, you put your heart and investment and time, but it was never my identity. What my identity has always been is a concern for this very county. 5 years in, Bob Norris still has done nothing to get this county ready for any kind of man-made or natural event.
Well, and there was no follow through on any of his campaign promises. No. That was all theater.
But it was a concern for this county and concern for corruption and concern for human trafficking, which it astounds me how many the lack of the lack of church leaders in this very county that are talking about human trafficking. And you have to ask yourself again, why is this? And when you find the amount of abuse that took place against people that were inside Candlelight, it absolutely must be met with justice. And this is right now what you're seeing. You're seeing the beginning stages of delayed justice finally coming to the surface. It's money and power. Look up the elders. Look up how much money some of these elders have. And this seems to be the common with most churches today, the mega churches. They have to have extremely wealthy people inside their inner circle. But 7 or 8 different SOS filings. Where's the money going? It's expensive. We've heard with people that have had business dealings that have brought the receipts. I mean, Paul Van Noy is a used car salesman along the lines of Bob Norris, who actually was a used car salesman for a while when he was getting over his heart attack back in 2003.
Mm-hmm. We're moving in a direction here where we've brought up some names, Paul Van Noy and Davalu Cummings. We dug into her and why the leaked audio tapes matter into this conversation, because the same tactics are being used today to cover Paul Van Noy through these accusations. So another familiar name. Oh, also, I want to remind you, share this feed to your page or profile because you're here live with us right now, and continue to engage in that comment section. I want to see more of you having conversation back and forth, dropping questions for Dan, and we'll get those over to him when it's appropriate. Another familiar name that I'm just going to keep saying is Stephanie Fetzer. Mm-hmm. So while she's not on the recorded audio, she's somebody that stays in a certain kind of lane. Mm-hmm. You'll see her in the political and civic space. Her identity is kind of, I'm just a mom who 20 years ago got really mad about things that were happening politically that was making this world unsafe for my children. I actually believe she states 20 years ago. I don't really know what she was involved in because that would have been prior to her actually having children. Yeah, But that's like the nucleus of her story right now. I want to direct you to an investigative report that we released several years ago.
Several years ago.
It
seems like years. Several weeks ago.
Several weeks ago. This all does.
I got you.
I'm clicking buttons and trying to talk and hold a straight thought at the same time. I put a QR code up on the screen, this investigative report we released several weeks ago that's going to give you much more in-depth detail on Stephanie Fetzer, where she hails from in Sacramento. And I believe there's a good job of proof and evidence there of dirty political tactics and operating as a political...
Kelly Broderick.
Political influencer.
Kelly Broderick, the burner account.
With burner account, sock puppets, all that. So Stephanie Fetzer... some red flags with her in the political machinery, and she ties in with Paul Van Noy because she's part of that Candlelight circle. You'll see a lot of messaging coming out from her in the defense of Paul Van Noy. And what we know from backtracking is that a lot of what Van Noy and Cummings were saying in that meeting were the exact same talking points that Fetzer was then repeating, but she's more responsible for the online social media space because you could say, well, that's her area of expertise and how to corral people and spin narratives and that sort of thing. So with Fetzer, in the investigative report, you're going to have findings of burner accounts like Kelly Broderick, which she'll swear up and down wasn't her.
It wasn't me, man. It wasn't me.
Problem with that is you really can't prove or disprove it, except that I collected data, did a writing analysis, and proved with a high 90th percentiles that it was the exact same person. Mm-hmm. They got a little bit smarter with it. More than one person can log into account. You can start using ChatGPT to change the tone. I get all of that. But before she was being called out, it was like high 90 percentile, the exact same person. So that's one account. people who use these tactics, she brought that with her from political spaces in Sacramento where she was being trained to do just that. And it makes you feel like you're outnumbered with the people that hold her opinion that she's trying to spin. She was involved in parody pages during the Wilson campaign, which is just, strong Christian woman who's on her profile now quoting scriptures.
One of the best things about being on the campaign is we got exposed to all these people.
They can't help it.
And the best part is had they not come out the way they had during the campaign, we wouldn't have any frame of reference.
And they're still
they wouldn't even be on our radar, and nobody would have exposed them.
Yes, and they're still doing it, and so you'll have some brand new names coming up tonight.
Yeah.
So from Stephanie Fetzer, coordinated attacks against perceived political threats. She has pretended to be just a mom who cares, but she is deeply entrenched in political orchestration. So that ties in today.
I'm not political, but I'm always involved in political things.
It's just our church.
I'm just a trad mom.
Whatever's formed against me shall stand. An expert at quoting scripture. But tying in today, because again, we released that report several weeks ago, ties into her history, but still highly active. She's backed off a little bit because as she continues to be exposed, she's going to have to work a little harder. So at bare minimum, I'm getting you to work a little bit harder, Stephanie. Her sudden presence across Candlelight, Van Noy, and Gordon Walthow's discussion threads.
She
is present there. That's Danielle Van Noy's husband.
Yeah,
And they have come out as a unified front with what they've presented and the history that they've presented and brought in front of Danielle's father, Paul Van Noy. Stephanie's tactics are always prove it. And then as the target changes, she's got to shift the prove it, because you'll prove something and then you've got to prove something else. And that's continually moving because she's trying to neutralize accountability. So she even shifts what she is forcing you to try to prove to where it's completely like out of the lane. It makes no sense. She's got the connection to Aaron Barnard of the Kootenai County Spectator. That's that political chat group we were talking about. We'll probably get into a little more about Barnard here in a bit. So, she's got a role in shaping and redirecting narratives. So I want you, that QR code's up on the screen. Go watch that and just keep your eyes and ears out to understand.
You have a duty if you're going to be on the local social media. And look, I understand why some people keep anonymous accounts, hidden identity. I didn't have social media up until right close to the election. You know that when you and I met, I didn't even have Facebook. But if you want to remain anonymous, but you're going to run your mouth, you're most likely not going to be taken super serious. Unless your friends know who you are. I mean, and I have some friends that have anonymous accounts, but generally watch what's going on because the propaganda is real.
And I want to show propaganda because while I was talking, I couldn't
Please
do this. But Stephanie Fetzer, I think she knows too, you can't use a sock puppet account that's going to have any credibility to come out and defend Paul Van Noy. So this is something that she has personally put her name on. And this is her, as I mentioned, getting involved in the comment section on Gordon Walthow's post. Gordon Walthow, again, the husband of Danielle Van Noy, Pastor Paul's daughter, who's come out with her statements of abuse and lack of protection by her father. And so here in the comment that circled, you see Stephanie defending Van Noy's honor and discrediting any other source of information because she's not making this political like other people are. And again, when you understand her history,
that's all she does is politics.
This is her full-time job. But she'll just lie. It doesn't matter. There's nothing that's off limits.
And let's keep coming back to the basics. They are trying to keep this suppressed. This is why they're working overtime. We're not just rambling up here going, well, she said this and they said this.
No.
Keep in mind, if you're paying attention at patterns of the way people are talking between sock puppet accounts and other sock puppet accounts, something's going on. Pay attention. Why are they doing this? And then pay attention. Why, if you are truly a follower of Christ, and we talked about the fruits of the Spirit last week versus the fruits of the flesh, the works of the flesh. These people who want to claim that they're some super Christians, They're so pious until it comes to this. And rather than take the high road and say, fine, you know what? We do believe we'll be vindicated and we will allow the investigations to occur. We'll have full transparency. No, they don't. They keep saying things like, this is a private matter.
Yeah.
How dare you bring this up?
So more examples on Stephanie Fetzer. Again, this is very linear. We're getting you to follow the people who we have determined over the course of over a year and a half are at the top, and messaging trickles down from there. So Stephanie Fetzer stands behind Paul Van Noy, shares to her feed, hey, Pastor Paul's come out with this statement, and she's basically salivating over his leadership and example, his great example. Here's another, right underneath that, if you can see it, this is a latest statement made by Stephanie, and this one's very important. So her post is, Hack podcasters say Stephanie is clearly hiding something because she made her profile private and now only makes things public that she, quote, wants you to see. That was an actual quote from our live stream last week, although she'll never attribute it to us. She loves to shift the focus over to Dave Riley, but she'll never attribute what she's listening to on our program to us. It
breaks my heart.
Indirect.
It's so, Stephanie, that's so hurtful. I mean, come on, you got to give us credit.
So she says, this gets better. She says, also hack podcasters, we are justified in posting pictures of Stephanie's kids because she posts them publicly on her Facebook page. There is nobody that I'm aware of posting pictures of Stephanie Fetzer's kids.
But nobody that's us.
But no, well, and I mean, I've checked others that would be, I guess, maybe usual suspects. I've not seen it.
What do you mean by usual suspects?
Others that she might be finger pointing to, like Dave Riley or Casey Whalen. And there is nobody that I'm aware of or X accounts that have come out surrounding Danielle Van Noy or her husband. There is nothing like that I have seen. And so what you got to understand she's an expert in is getting you riled up because how dare somebody, I'm going to side with Stephanie. I'm going to protect her. I'm going to, put my hands of protection over her because these disastrous people are just coming. But consider the fact it never happened. Mm-hmm. I can't prove it definitively. I'm just saying I looked, I didn't see it, and nobody that I'm aware of has done that.
While we're on this topic with Stephanie running her mouth and making things up, here's a PSA for you, Stephanie. I want you to take a little piece of advice, if you're so inclined. That is that if you're going to get a picture of yourself and your daughters and others, and you are going to post that online, you may want to check the criminal history of one of the individuals that is in your picture. You can go search this individual, but I'm pretty certain that you would not want them anywhere near your children because they most likely would be on a registry.
That was, if you want to narrow it.
No, I think we'll just let her do that.
Let me finish with this. So,
the more you know.
So Stephanie, again, she's framing something to make you emotional and get you to side with her and how dare they and protect her, and it strengthens the forces that she has against her enemies. She says, yes, I'm making some posts private because hack podcasters and their low discernment friends are harassing my family. Again, I don't know, the harassment of family, I don't know. There's more to this. Hold on.
Kind of like when she knew the arrests were going to happen in Sacramento. And
so posts like that are made about people harassing her family because this is the type of response that it solicits. I'm so sorry. I'm praying for all of you. How dare you? I noticed Dan Gookin responding in favor to Fetzer's comments.
Gookin, by the way, I got to stop. Again, I got to interject before I forget. Gookin, what the hell are you doing, man? I mean, you are actually the mayor-elect, and you're going and you are liking different posts that you probably, piece of advice, you should shut the hell up. I mean, if you are a mayor of the people, you should probably keep your nose clean, Gook. I mean, I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have said Gook because they're going to now say I'm racially. Gookin.
All
right, as you were. As you were.
The last piece on this, because this is in reality, when you're talking about political operations, this is what somebody like Stephanie Fetzer is setting the stage for. People are harassing my family. They're doxing my kids or posting pictures of my kids. Again, there's no evidence of this that I'm aware of. But Shelley Kroll says, oh, I can't with the spin. These people are ridiculous, and kind of like LOLs it. Well, Stephanie said, maybe ridiculous, mostly evil, and possibly dangerous.
Say that again.
She's maybe ridiculous, mostly evil, and possibly dangerous. So what she is setting the stage for is that the people coming against her, that she is somehow in danger. And again, creating that emotional attachment so that people will surround her, and she must be doing something right and something good. And it's very similar to the messaging that comes from the stage in Paul Van Noy's performances, that it's some form of spiritual attack. And obviously the enemy is against you. They want to see you fail because you're proclaiming the gospel of Christ.
Did we talk about the fact that Candlelight has taken down, I haven't been on there, so maybe this isn't current, but as of the weekend, they had already taken down, before our last broadcast a week ago, the staff page. They had made videos private from the Wednesday night streaming. And then they not only did they take them down, but you'll find this funny. Then they put them back up, but they begin with an applause. What do you call that line? What do you call it when they at the beginning they reposted the applause line?
They edited it down to one video. Typically, he's got like 3 or 4 services or something on Sunday morning.
They weren't continuously.
So they moved all of those down, re-edited one version, and added a clap track to the beginning.
Yeah.
No joke.
Why in the hell would you add a clap track? Yeah. Because it's all about performance, right? I'm being persecuted right now. I'm not worried about my daughter that was abused.
And that's the thing. I mean, the cavalier attitude amidst these type of accusations. And they want to put on the front, well, we can smile through this and claim an attack, and this is a healthy church because this is just, the whole thing is so absurd. But it is not, that is not a normal reaction. It's not a professional reaction, let alone somebody who should be morally and spiritually accountable. It's not healthy. Well, right now, I'm going to have you think about something, because we're going to transition into the next piece of this. Again, Stephanie Fetzer ties into this, but it's a new angle. This is something that this last week, I'm like, interesting. So I'm going to have you think about something that we're calling StickerGate. You guys are going to remember this. The local frozen yogurt franchise, GrooveBerries, claimed they had a wave of negative reviews against them after they put Charlie Kirk stickers on their cups. Now, we wouldn't even be talking about the GrooveBerries review scandal. I'm calling it a scandal. We wouldn't even be talking about that today, except for one thing. A couple of weeks ago, Sarah Gibson started showing up on our platform, leaving sarcastic comments. I didn't know who Sarah Gibson was, so I did a little poking around. Well, it turns out she and her husband own that GrooveBerries franchise, which places them squarely inside Stephanie Fetzer's political orbit, and I'm going to explain to you how that is. This matters because the entire GrooveBerries incident has the fingerprints of a manufactured political stunt. And I know this is very hard for some of you to wrap your mind around, because you don't live your life like this. You don't operate like this. You're like on the barely graze the surface of politics, and you just don't waste your time thinking about people who lie, manipulate, steal, and want this kind of power and influence and what they're willing to do to get it.
Yeah.
And then you definitely don't want to think in your sleepy little North Idaho that it's going on and that it came here years ago. Yeah. And they've been in operations for a long time to get to where they are today. So the manufactured political stunt, and this is the kind that Fetzer was known for in Sacramento, and she's repeated it through the 2024 sheriff's race. Again, you're going to go back and watch that investigative report on Stephanie Fetzer, because it's going to give you that history.
All the baseline.
Yes. Here's what we know. GrooveBerries claimed that they were hit with a swarm of negative reviews after putting Charlie Kirk stickers on yogurt cups. Again, I just want you to keep in mind, you bought it hook, line, and sinker. You went in, you took your kids, you got yogurt, because how dare anybody come against this business and do what they're doing because they put Charlie Kirk stickers on your yogurt cup, we're going to go support them. But just bear in mind, just think for a moment, consider that this was a political stunt.
Yeah.
Just consider it. In the community, including myself, we were looking after these swarm of negative reviews. We started looking. A lot of us, and I was seeing the commenting, a lot of us didn't see a swarm of anything negative. I mean, I think I saw a couple of things out of many.
But it was service related. It wasn't.
They weren't even specific to
Charlie Kirk.
StickerGate. Suddenly, like days later, I don't know, a couple weeks, whatever, Sheriff Bob Norris is at GrooveBerries claiming that GrooveBerries received death threats. And Paul Van Noy shows up to pray over the business. And Fetzer is in the background, not literally in the background of a video, but in the background of this event. It's all over her page.
Was that like Remembering Charlie Day or whatever that was?
Yes, because it tied into then we're going to do events downtown. We're going to put our kids on stage, sing national
But there was
anthem,
a build-up. There was a build-up for several weeks.
It's a build-up. So Fetzer's in the background promoting, shaping the messaging, and emotionally rallying the base because, again, 20 years experience politically, that's what she knows how to do. She's going to emotionally rally people, and staging an event like this is exactly the way to get there. It's classic political theater. You create a fake attack and you position yourself as the victims. You mobilize supporters, generate publicity, and build a platform for the next political rollout. In this case, that was then the TPUSA Faith Hub, and then this all ties into a broader network that's now defending the same people defending Van Noy.
Great marketing.
And we've got some videos that we're going to show of this event because it's even more telling when you just think about it from this vantage point, and then you go back and you watch and you see who's in that video and what they're saying. Yeah. When you map the connections, it paints a very clear picture of coordinated narrative building and not grassroots crisis. Stephanie Fetzer's the same operative who ran political games in Sacramento, the same one who injected herself into the Wilson campaign with parody pages, smear messaging, recruiting Dan's ex-wife, and that became vile. And she's now working overtime to defend Paul Van Noy. Same
Using
person.
my disabled daughter against me.
She did do that. The GrooveBerries stunt, as I'm calling it, it tracks with her established pattern. Manufacture a crisis and then claim attack. Again, she's doing it on her page right now. Then you frame unnamed enemies. Who were they? You rally emotional support. That gets people emotional. You stage a political movement. And who showed up at the event they held afterward? Sheriff Bob Norris, Traffic Corps, which Dan will talk more about, and Paul Van Noy giving a prayer. It's a lineup of the exact same power players that are now defending Van Noy during this current scandal. And when you see the same names, the same tactics, and the same emotional manipulation, the strategies are resurfacing again today around Paul Van Noy. And that is why we are calling these.
Because they're all making money off this stuff.
It's a blueprint.
They're all making money off of this.
Indeed, they are. Leave your questions and comments in the comment section. Just another reminder there. Share this feed to your page or profile as we continue. I think we had some video.
Yeah, let's go ahead and play that video. It's about 3 minutes. It's from the opening of this Remember Charlie Day, whatever it is. You're going to see the owner the blonde, what's her name?
Actually, I'm going to do it in reverse order. Okay. Sarah Gibson, because again, I did not know up until 2 weeks ago that she came leaving sarcastic comments on our platform. Yeah. I don't know.
How dare anybody say anything rude on it? I don't know who
you are. And it's like, if you're going to do the dirty political games you're doing or for whatever personal gain, just go do it.
Don't come up on our radar, because then we're going to seek you out and find out who you are.
And if these were principled people, the fact that they come on our platform to disparage and be sarcastic and all the things, that tells you everything you need to know. Yeah. So in light of that, I'm going to have you now meet Sarah Gibson.
Yeah. And when I took the risk, and GrooveBerries, me and my husband took the risk to put the stickers on our cups, we had all those thoughts going through our head of like, this could tank our business. But God will not let us fail for doing the right thing. Yeah. And at first it was scary because we were getting all that influx of the haters and people saying we're never going there again. And I even contemplated, I'm like, do I need to take this down? Like, do I need to take the whole post down, remove the cups? And, I prayed and I felt God speaking to me. He will not let me fail for
Yeah.
spreading the truth. When you have that relationship with Christ, you just feel so much more certain.
So you're going to tank your business in super ultra conservative Kootenai County because you put Charlie Kirk on your yogurt dish?
Yeah, it made no sense to me, which is back at the time that the GrooveBerries or StickerGate happened, I didn't know Sarah Gibson. So it's nothing. I'm like, I don't know. But I'm like, I don't buy it. Like I wasn't buying it. And that's when I started doing a little bit of digging. And it also makes no sense that a yogurt franchise, again, this is a franchise. These aren't, okay, I'm not going to get into that. But that this made national news. Like that makes no sense to me. That this was not some kind of national level controversy. So who in the world connected
if you want to really be brave, GrooveBerries, do this in downtown Seattle or Portland, not in red Kootenai County. Give me a break.
Yeah, well, yeah, you got
but
that.
But Dan Gookin sure got on board because Dan, during his campaign, was showing his special dish with the sticker on it.
Come on down, buy your yogurt. Because again, this is you frame.
He's tied in with the Candlelight people.
Frame an attack and people respond emotionally. And I will tell you, I'll give it to you, Stephanie. It went off beautifully. Now, as far as how much traction or momentum that continues to give you, I don't know. But it was a successful operation. And now here is the video that Dan was setting up. If there's anything else you want to say about that.
Well, I just think that some of the players, again, you have, the owners of the establishment. You have Bob Norris. It is, I don't know how he's involved, but he has his friend's traffic corps with him. His son, former deputy school resource officer, quit the sheriff's office last year, went to work for Dan and Carrie Edwards of Traffic Corps. Traffic Corps, Dan was the former mayor of Dalton Gardens, and Carrie and Dan own Traffic Corps. They're road construction flaggers. They donated $10,000 to the Kootenai County Deputy Sheriff's Association. That's a fraternal order of police political PAC. The PAC then, with the permission of Bob Norris, used the Kootenai County Sheriff's Star in violation of state law, and they put together a mailer before the primary that seemed to indicate, for those that don't know any better, that it was an official recommendation and endorsement from Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. And on this flyer that they sent out to all the households in Kootenai County, you had the Deputy Sheriff's Association picks for county commissioner. You had county commissioner, two county commissioners, Brett Surplus, Sleepy Dale Gibney, Sheriff Robert Norris, and Trump. But Bob Norris got basically that's a campaign endorsement. Oh, and then the Dirty 30 they call them. The North Idaho Republicans were also against the KCRCC. So tell me this, KCRCC folks, how is it that you guys still haven't taken the boots to Bob and Brent for allowing that stunt to take place? I mean, I find many of the North Idaho Republican people actually good people. But it's funny because you guys are at such loggerheads, and your star boy, Bob Norris, who's using illegal campaign funds and doing other things to promote himself, but he's there with the Edwards in the middle of this thing.
Well, I've always speculated, again, when we're highlighting tonight what people do as a campaign stunt, you or Stephanie Fetzer shows patterns of manufacturing outrage because it gets people to respond emotionally. When some of these things were happening back in that election and the whole Dirty 30 deal, I mean, I speculated, you didn't necessarily agree with me, but I'm like, I think this whole thing's a put on. I think they're creating this sense of us versus them, and you get people to split, but in reality, you're all working in unison. So there was
certain
no
people, because I don't think the people
that
lost their seats
because they
feel
wouldn't
that
know.
way.
They don't know. They're not on top. They're pawns.
But the last thing I'll say before you show this video is that Bob Norris is going to talk about death threats in this video, because over yogurt and Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated in front of the world, somehow they're getting death threats, allegedly. But I want to remind you, let's go back to that slide that I've got. Right after the town hall incident back in February, Bob Norris was making statements to the media that he had received death threats because he removed Dr. Borenpol from this town hall. And I put a records request into Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, and I specifically asked him, I said, hey, Between these dates and time, has Sheriff Bob Norris officially reported any specific threats of harm or death against himself or his family to the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office between the dates of 2/22/25 and 3/3/25? And the response was no record exists. So remember, when people say they receive death threats, unless they can actually bring the proof, it's all, again, an emotional attempt to pull you in to get sympathy. You're going to listen to Bob. He's a master of trying to manipulate people as well. Let's go ahead and play that.
Appreciate that. As you know, this business has had a lot of death threats recently, a lot of online threats, a lot of stuff going on. So we appreciate that they offered to have this event for us. We appreciate Traffic Corp. Where are the Edwards at? Oh, come on up. Come on up over here. Dan and Gary, they are sponsoring this event. Eat. So, keep having some fun. Where's Sarah? Sarah, are you never? Oh, we don't have.
She's over here, Bob. Sarah's over there. We can't see you, Sarah. She can see us.
Chase, there we go. So Chase and Sarah are the owners of this
Sarah's
great
right there.
establishment. Oh, there she is. Let's give them a big hand. Thanks for putting up with some of the stuff you had to put up with.
Absolutely. All in Christ's name. Just to keep pushing Charlie's word and legacy, which was about Christ, which is not put out there as much as it should have been. So we just wanted to keep his legacy moving, and look what we're doing. Look what the community here is doing. We've had people reach out from New Zealand, Philippines, Thailand, Australia, the UK. It's been crazy. So awesome. It's spreading. It's spreading like it should. Yeah. So
Very good.
Pastor Paul, can you lead us in a prayer?
Absolutely. Oh, good. Where are the turning point people?
Where's our turning point girls?
Come on over here.
Come on up. Yeah, come on up, you guys. Yeah, let's join our hearts, you guys. I just love Chase. I love Sarah. I love GrooveBerries. I love what they're doing. I love our community, and I love our sheriff. And we're just excited to be able to be here to join our hearts together in this way. I know that Charlie Kirk would want us to remember Jesus, not Charlie. Amen. Charlie and I were personal friends, and so I can echo for him that this is about him and giving glory and honor to Jesus first. And then, of course, we want to recognize our sheriff. We love our sheriff. We want him protected. We want this business protected. All of our community members protected. So let's just join our hearts together as we pray just now. Father, thank you for this time. Thank you for our sheriff. Thank you for Chase and Sarah, their family. Thank you for GrooveBerries. Thank you for the Turning Point group that are here and those internationally, all around this world, even people today celebrating Charlie's birthday. Lord, we recognize that events will be taking place here in our community tonight. They will be taking place all over the country tonight and today. And so we just pray for protection, for unity, for glory to your name, and that you would call us all to yourself, Lord. Allow our eyes to be open to the truth, that we would have open dialogue, communicating with each other, loving one another. Bless our law enforcement, bless our community, Lord, and bless this business, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
All right. Before we start eating more yogurt.
All right. So, a couple things to also note. Paul likes to frequently tell everybody that he was personal friends with Charlie Kirk. I have no idea what that means. Who wasn't friends with Charlie? I mean, I wasn't, but it seemed like everybody you listened to, they personally knew. It's like name dropping. But my understanding, and Mark Cord, maybe you can verify this, but Candlelight is sponsoring the Charlie Kirk or the Turning Point USA Faith Hub, correct?
Yeah, I've got screenshots of Stephanie Fetzer sharing that Candlelight was helping them in the beginning operations, which would have meant funding at the time for what had to have been thousands of dollars of T-shirts and sweatshirts turned around in a very short time to
Here's
start
what doesn't
selling
make
those.
sense to me is this. Paul Van Noy has been very public about his disdain for anybody that doesn't believe his dispensational viewpoint. He has said that Catholics, in essence, are not believers, that they're heretics or heresy, or I forget exactly what he said. He said similar things about Mormons. So why in the world, if you have a guy that is really telling the whole community that it's his way is the only correct way, and again, he wants to be able to open up prayers before the city council meetings, but he doesn't want anybody of other faith. He doesn't understand the Constitution. If you open up to one, you open up to all. So why would he embrace Turning Point USA Faith Hub, which from everything I've seen is pantheistic? You are bringing every kind of religion together. And if you don't believe me, just listen. Listen to the many things online and the different viewpoints that are even, according to Paul, contradictory to Scripture. Now, I happen to believe that some of the things that he says that are contradictory are, but why is Paul part of, and Candlelight, a part of this faith hub? It's pantheistic. It makes no sense, but it manipulated people right before the election. The Candlelight people took front and center. They were the lead right before the election. Mm-hmm. They were at odds with the KCRCC, who was promoting somebody else besides Gookin. And you built this groundswell of people that are Candlelight supporters. They're going to push the KCRCC off. You guys don't matter. It's what Paul Van Noy, the anointed, has to say, who he wants to make a king. Because you remember, I don't know, Dan, you must have gone out and bought him a steak dinner because he's a pretty effing important person. You guys see where we're going with this? It's right before your eyes. You just have to pay attention.
The next names that we'd like to highlight here briefly, not going to get into a ton of background on Erin Barnard, but she has been a familiar name in Kootenai County politics, runs the Kootenai County Spectator Facebook page. I think she's got a website. Go check that out.
She couldn't stand that I was from Washington. Every chance she got, you're from Washington. Go back and be a cop in Washington. How dare you try to be a police officer or a sheriff in this county? And yet Erin and Lucky were living, my understanding is over in Seattle, right around COVID, had their business downtown near CHOP, from what I'm being told. It's always funny how they will fit the narrative to whatever is important to them at that time. But Erin is a loudmouth. We call her the Hamburglar. So all of you, if you're looking for what Erin's moniker is, it's the Hamburglar. She went on a 5-minute rant against Rogers Hamburger because, somebody that's your teenage kid's age didn't make their burgers right. And she got fat cheeks because she ate gluten.
Yeah.
Something.
And Erin, she is known for, at least in recent years, because I think she's been on the Kootenai County scene longer than Stephanie Fetzer is, but they seem to have made fast alliance. And so Erin is right alongside Stephanie in running interference for Pastor Paul Van Noy through these current accusations. So there's that. And she was very present detractor in our campaign. That's when originally we were open to her being more referred to her as hey, she's a source of local political information. And so we went in with no bias and ready to learn and read the information that she was posting about local politics, and seemed good on the surface. And then she came out guns a-blazing when you announced you were running. So, but to not get into that, there is this recent, and I want you to talk about this.
Yeah. So part of this cover for Paul is they're going to start sowing seeds of doubt for people inside Kootenai County, specifically those that are calling yourself conservative or Christian, or if you're a Candlelight affiliate. But look what Erin puts out here. Now there's 600 subscribers on her Telegram page. She's on Facebook. She's in multiple different communities here locally running her mouth. She put this out the other day. 2 days ago? Yesterday?
Yeah, a couple days ago.
Is there corruption in the Coeur d'Alene PD? Now think about this. By their own admission, they make a fair amount of business from law enforcement in this area. And just kind of like they wanted to claim that Coeur d'Alene Police was corrupt in the way they handled correctly the town hall incident. The issue is that now that there is what appears to be an active investigation of the Candlelight issues, they want to try to set the narrative up right now that eventually, if it doesn't go the way they're hoping, they can get the community to buy off in advance that it would never be a fair investigation. And that's just the way they're doing it. And it's a Saul Alinsky tactic. It is 100% an issue. Look at the way she frames this. She's isolating the issue. So screen capture this right here, this target, this institution. Then she's personalizing it. Okay, after they freeze it, they identify it, freeze it, then they're making it personal. What do you think? Right? What do you think? I mean, is there corruption going on in Coeur d'Alene Police right now? And then, as a result, they polarize things. This is an Alinsky method. Saul Alinsky, that great communist, that disruptor, the one who dedicated his book to Satan, the original rebellious one. They're doing this in order to already put doubt into anybody that's not paying attention. And that if Paul or anybody else tied with Candlelight is found to have done wrong, well, it's just bias. It's just political bias. And then they put the picture of Lee White, because Lee White has been the chief of police here for 10 years. And he's suddenly on his way out the door to retire. Because I think, when I say suddenly, he turned in his resignation, about a month ago? So it's not like he, and I don't blame him. You don't have to put in a 6-month notice. But he's going to they're going to pin this. If it doesn't go the way they want, they're going to pin this. You can just see it right now. They're going to pin it directly on the Coeur d'Alene chief, who will be away and won't be able to defend himself.
Keep in mind the political timing of it. It is not just an innocent question. Aaron Barnard sitting around having a glass of wine the night before. And I wonder if people think that the Coeur d'Alene Police Department's corrupt. I want to hear your opinions and your experiences. Drop those in the comments.
Now, people have said to me, well, Wilson, that's what you did when you ran for sheriff. You seated doubt in Kootenai County. No, what I did was I seated doubt in the sheriff himself, the elected representative of all of you, and I brought the receipts. I brought receipts for all of you to see, despite some of you that want to argue otherwise and disagree, kind of like the helicopter program that we said a year ago was underinsured, and lo and behold, it is underinsured. But the point of it is they're not bringing any proof of corruption. So, Aaron, when you and Lucky are inking on Coeur d'Alene police officers, are those guys the corrupt ones? Is Captain Hager the corrupt one? I mean, is Dan Gookin, the mayor-elect who's been on the city council for all these years, is he part of the problem? You guys just supported him in order to get him elected as mayor. They oversee the police department, and White, because he's not elected like the sheriff is, look at all the messaging that they're doing.
Well, and she'll say, what? I'm just asking a question.
Just asking a question.
You don't know why I'm asking the question. Then that's your out. And you're exactly right. When you were being accused of that in the campaign, it's smear tactics or innuendo. That's one of Fetzer's favorite words, innuendo. Yeah. Had Shelley Kroll saying it nonstop. It wasn't true. That was the difference. Any issue that you brought up, here's the record request responses. Here's what I dug up on insurance issues. Here's what I know about the helicopter, who's piloting it, the pilot error that has happened, and things in people's past. All of that was being presented. There was no innuendo. Innuendo didn't exist. But that what Barnard's posting, whatever reason she has for positioning that and planting those seeds, that is innuendo. And it's showing up somewhat in the comments there. If you go look at her post on Kootenai County Spectator, people are saying, well, why are you you're not naming names. What is the purpose of this? So she's getting some pushback. And
as bipolar as they are and lucky, they're all into this groiper deal, which a year ago, didn't even know what it is. Apparently Dave Riley's a groiper. I always forget what he's an idiot, among other things. I don't know if he's truly a great. I don't know what that means, but I know that they have been critical of anybody that comes out and doesn't toe the line of what they think needs to be done, and they want to back it up with scripture. And yet, how is it that you make a business where you online show the images, the satanic images and tattoos that you'll put on people? No, I mean, you live a double life.
His grace is sufficient. There's always a verse. And I think Candle Dark on X, if we haven't done a very good job of explaining what might be behind Erin Barnard's post about Coeur d'Alene police and potential corruption, or she's just asking the question, I want to say this account on X, Candle Dark. Yeah,
somebody that has an axe to grind with Paul.
They very clearly do. Seems to be somebody who possibly at some point had insider info. The timeline of that, I don't know. But there was a video put together that I think does a really good job of explaining this. So if now is a good time to put that up, let's
roll that beautiful footage.
Let's do it.
Police body cam footage from Coeur d'Alene police searching for Candlelight Christian Fellowship senior pastor Paul Van Noy, and rumor of a possible, though unconfirmed, investigation involving the pastor and his family. Something interesting happened. An active member of Candlelight Christian Fellowship, Erin Barnard, who also runs the Kootenai County Spectator, published a vague anti-law enforcement hit piece insinuating corruption at the very police department involved. Is this just coincidence? Or an attempt to shift public attention away from Pastor Paul and toward the police? After all, if charges were ever brought against Paul Van Noy, a narrative of police corruption could make it easier for some to dismiss any accusations and defend Pastor Paul without question. Erin Barnard begins with a sweeping claim.
Some things have been brought to our attention about happenings within the Coeur d'Alene Police Department that brings up the question, is there corruption within the Coeur d'Alene Police Department?
But what exactly are these things? Who brought them forward? What evidence is being referenced? The statement relies on vagueness rather than facts. It plants the idea of corruption without offering so much as a single verifiable example. That isn't accountability. It's insinuation, manipulation, and dishonest. If someone truly wants transparency, they present specifics, dates, documents, testimonies, reports. They don't hide behind undefined happenings and unnamed sources. That approach doesn't inform the public, it manipulates them. Much the way Pastor Paul Van Noy manipulates his own congregation.
Look, the truth is the truth is the truth. It doesn't change from what it was a year ago, 10 years ago, or what it will be. The truth is always going to be the truth. Now, none of us are perfect. We strive to get things truthful and to speak truthful things, but we all fail. And when we fail, we dust ourselves off, admit to it, and then move on. But I'm astonished at how many people are defending Paul and Candlelight with your same boring arguments. Well, he had this. He didn't have to report because, after all, he has the confessor penitence. They call it weird, but basically
penitent privilege, pastor penitent privilege.
That works only if the person that committed the crime confesses directly to the pastor or the priest or whatever your religious leader is that has that official title. What it doesn't cover is if something happens to your own daughter. It just doesn't. It doesn't cover if you happen to have firsthand knowledge of something or even secondhand knowledge. It does not exonerate you from actually dropping a dime and letting the professional law enforcement officials look into things. Now, there are people that are trying to claim that I'm behind this. This dropped on our lap, a surprise just like it did to all of you. I did not know who Danielle and Gordon were prior to that Thursday morning that they dropped everything that they dropped on X. And it's interesting because, I don't think the Coeur d'Alene Police Department is necessarily a friend of mine. I don't know anybody there personally. What I found funny is I was doing a records request yesterday rather, and I put in an additional records request, not at all tied together from my perspective. And I challenged them when they decided, hey, we're not going to charge you more because these are the same, incident, so to speak. I had no prior knowledge. And when I questioned the records division, their response was, well, we've been watching your social media and we believe that you know that these are connected. So I was adding an address on one and a individual on another. I have no knowledge that are even tied into the same address. But I mean, that's a very odd thing for government to tell you. Why are they watching our social media? I'm curious. I want to know. But, it might have been innocent in nature, but I don't think some records clerk gets to have the say by watching social media what my intent is when I'm asking. And that's Coeur d'Alene Police Department. It goes by a supervisor. So lest any of you guys think that somehow I'm colluding with Coeur d'Alene Police or whatever, it's not happening.
Not happening. QR code up in the corner is that Candle Dark account over on X. Thank you for use of that video. If you want to go follow them, they definitely, whoever's behind that account definitely has a different perspective than what we can bring, because it seems to be more from the direction of insider knowledge. And I suspect that it's a trickle and there's much more there to be revealed. So that would be a good account to follow if you're interested in that.
Talk to me about other people, KCRCC people that aren't necessarily part of Candlelight that are coming out to the defense of Candlelight and Paul.
Well, some of it I think truly, probably quite a lot of it, or even most of it's truly organic. It is going to be tough for people who have been loyal to a pastor and loyal to a church, and it's has been perceived as a light in the community, and they're invested. They've raised their kids within those church walls. They've entrusted Pastor Van Noy and his judgment in leadership and hires and who serves in ministry. They've raised their kids there and have assumed their kids to be safe. We received a scathing email from a congregant member. I don't know just what it is you think you're doing, but to turn around and say if my kids are attend there and they're not safe, I understand why for a parent, and especially parents of young kids who maybe can't defend themselves or be a voice or articulate something that happened, you're going to get defensive of that. So that is not something, waking up to what might be going on or just having the curiosity instead of being so defensive. At bare minimum, move to the step of being naturally curious and just asking yourself, what if? And what precautionary measures should I take? And is the current response by Paul Van Noy, is that really in line with somebody where very serious offenses are being documented with evidence by his daughter? And does it even make sense that within days of that, he's on his stage and performing a narrative of a scripture that he supposedly had notes taken down 3 weeks prior? So this couldn't possibly this was all God inspired, and it was meant for this moment to talk about what the thorn in the side could possibly have been, and could it be your child? And then to think he's got supporters coming out and saying, that was a savage move. I mean,
that was such a boss thing.
How disrespectful. Even if you were going to go to any means necessary to show the facts and evidence and present documentation for that time, or get in front of the people and make a statement. But instead, you're staying in the safety of your walls and telling your congregants, again, emotionally attaching them to, you will be the victor. We are strong. You are a healthy church. He's pumping you up. And you're going to support him blindly because that trust has been built over years. And I know that it's painful. I understand that it's painful. So that back to what you were originally asking about detractors online or people who are coming in support of Van Noy, I think a lot of that is truly organic, because there are people who believe that he has loved them. Something Paul Van Noy does very well, even me not knowing him personally, I can see it, is he remembers your name. People are fascinated by that. I went to his church, for a while 5 years ago. He saw me passing by in the mall. He came up, gave me a hug. I love you guys. Remembered our names. He's good at that.
Yeah, but if you're a man with a code, and I know there are men and women out there with a code, you pick up on that really quick.
And for whatever reason, a lot of people, you are emotionally duped and pulled in by tactics like that are learned behavior. Mm-hmm. And we've already showed you through evidence and audio in Van Noy in his own words, the duplicitous behavior. Mm-hmm. And he is showing you behind closed doors who he really is.
Well, when you say that you're a really big thing and people have to get to you in order to become elected in this county, and that people have to wine him and dine him. And when he says that, he goes to people like Todd Engel that had the Bundy spirit, and he has to go down to California to be his personal mentor, and he's friends with Charlie Kirk. Nothing you do when your daughter comes out and makes a public statement, obviously because no justice ever occurred for her, it is no longer a private matter, especially when you respond, especially when in your own text message that you sent to her that you verified was true, Paul. You know darn good and well that this is no longer a private matter. This is very public because justice demands a public response. The public, ultimately, even if there is, somebody asked me earlier, if you find out that law enforcement doesn't find anything, whatever, blah, 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 will you apologize? For what? What am I going to apologize for? Not everything that is done is going to end up in a charge. But that does not exonerate you when it comes to morally as a spiritual leader failing to act, dereliction of duty. Law enforcement doesn't give a shit about dereliction of duty.
I want to add too, we've focused for anybody who's coming in on the middle of this. A lot of you don't live in politics arena. You don't live and breathe it. You maybe catch our show occasionally. I put a QR code to our website, libertywithoutcompromise.com. That's in the upper corner of your screen. You can go back and read through, see what brought us to today to understand really the center of this conversation with Pastor Paul Van Noy and the statements that his daughter Danielle came out with. But if that's not enough for the people that are defending that, because they say, look, she was a disgruntled child, she's got problems of her own, that's all been framed very specifically by Paul for a long time. Mm-hmm. And you could look at that and say, well, I mean, a pastor would do that. He'd have to frame that argument in advance, because if anything ever comes out, I have to have already laid the groundwork that this is a child who was problematic and who has denounced her faith. It's
that was what that we find out is most likely why she came out, is she heard him in that recording state that, ministry was so hard. He was trying, again, to get sympathy. He didn't realize that it was going to get leaked. This is the kind of conniving crap that he does behind closed doors, and that he was doing in an attempt to manipulate Monica. Mm-hmm. But, ministry is so hard. Criticism is just so hard. And, I have a daughter who renounced her faith and moved to New York, and Danielle has gone, not so fast.
Yes.
I did not renounce my faith. Yeah,
and now there's a link in the corner of your screen to the full version, those unedited audio files. So again, if you need to catch up, do a little bit of homework as to what we're referring back to. But if you're having trouble with this, okay, Danielle Van Noy, let me give some credence to the fact that there's this trouble historically there. Let me just entertain that. What you can't discount is that we then heard from Alyssa. Mm-hmm. And she is corroborating many of the same names, times, places, time frames, and that she also, and this goes back to that clergy penitent privilege, what Alyssa is testifying to is that she went back to Paul Van Noy and reported abuses, and nothing was done. And one of her quotes was, I did tell them, I did go to them, mm-hmm. and nothing was done. They never followed up with her. It was like she didn't matter. And that was probably one of those poignant things when we sat with her and heard her share her testament as to personal accounts of abuse that happened around that same time frame, and all in the sphere of Paul Van Noy, which he now tries to say in a word salad response that that, you know, I'm just apologizing for one thing, but all the rest of this stuff has nothing. I'm not connected to that. That's outside my church. That's not my responsibility.
Well, I'm going to say this. So very clearly, you can quote me on saying this. If in fact there are no charges, due to the response of Paul from the beginning of this issue, he will be weighed in the court of public opinion. And because he is such a very important person in this community, he deserves whatever position that the community takes up on what they think about Paul. That is the way it goes. If they are quick to say you are their spiritual leader, you are the pastor of Coeur d'Alene, then equally, if you're going to make those claims, then the people have the right to also then say, if they don't like the way you handle this, to judge you by the very standard that you're putting out for the rest of the community. You don't act as arrogant as you do, Paul, behind closed doors. And you attempted, this is what I find funny, he attempted to gaslight me in his 245-day later email that he finally responded when I was on the campaign trail. You guys can go to the website, libertywithoutcompromise.com. You can see them yourself. A complete manipulative moron. You think that I was born yesterday? I'm immune to your manipulation. Just for any of you out there, you think you're going to manipulate me, you're not going to do it. I've been there and done that. But Paul is going to be judged by this community, regardless of whether it is found out that he has broken any law or not. And that is the way it goes. And more people are coming forward, credible people. And I want to make this very clear. We're walking a fine line right now by not releasing things that we desperately want to release, because we know the people that are telling us the things that they're telling about not only Paul, but Paul and his staff, and the cover-ups and the things that should discredit elders or anybody that is serving on staff. But we won't until we have such profound knowledge that I'm not afraid to literally let it loose, because I know it's true. You know, it's like we used to call it truck talk. Guys would say things inside a pickup truck or in a locker room that they would never want somebody in the pews to hear them say. It's a reflection of who they are. And Paul has a lot of locker room talk that people have recorded. The amount of leaked audio, this is one of the stupidest dudes I've ever met or ever known of. As public as he is, he has diarrhea of the mouth. He just can't shut the hell up. And he says things over and over and over, and they're all recording it. Because in Idaho, it's a one-party consent. The amount of vileness that we have personally witnessed over the past 2 weeks. Yesterday, I'm like, I need a freaking break. I told you I wanted a break tonight. I didn't even want to come on because I am oversaturated. This is not who we are and what we do. I don't necessarily want to have this knowledge, but nobody else will do it. There is nobody on the KCRCC that has the balls to get up and lead this community. Not a one of you. Your boy Friday, the sheriff of Nottingham, the guy that has done nothing in 5 years except for make national attention over embarrassing, stupid things that he could have controlled better, and bringing spyware into our communities through his LPRs. He doesn't lead this community. He doesn't lead like a strong sheriff like Sheriff Mark Lamb did when he was in Pinal County. You want to see results? There's a man that knew how to be a sheriff. So what, is Brent Reagan your de facto leader? The common sense guy? The trust fund baby that's never worked a freaking hard day in his life because he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth? The guy that got $75,000 of COVID PPP money during COVID while he was making parts for the medical industry, and then had that $75,000 after he's a multimillionaire completely excused? But yet he'll lecture you on small government and the way that government should be and the way conservatives should be. So where is it? Where are the leaders in this community? Who are the leaders that are standing up for the people and calling out bad behavior and sin when it happens, and is watching out for the people against the machine? The machine that's been in Kootenai County for decades, that is making a lot of money, that does not want to be disrupted. Who is it? KCRCC. Bjorn, who is the leader with the KCRCC right now? I see nobody. North Idaho Republicans, same thing. You guys are a joke to me. There are people inside the North Idaho Republicans that I personally like, but what? All you do is you talk. You have nobody that can truly step up to the plate and call out things the way it needs to be called out and hold people accountable, but you want to sit there and bitch and moan about your fight between the KCRCC and all of you true, pure, original GOAT Republicans. Spare me. My message is to the young men out there. It's time for you to stand up and lead. Quit being a part of these Charlie Kirk Turning Point USA organizations. Form your own groups. Study the founders. Don't be idiots. Don't run around looking to start a civil war to use your guns. Start learning the foundations of this country and the arguments of the founders, and read the scripture for yourself. You don't need some dude standing behind a pulpit to be able to speak to you what the truth is. But it's time for you young men to get off your asses and start leading as well in your own spheres. What's going on right now in Kootenai County is an absolute abomination. To think that you can't even have your kids in a place of worship because you have no idea who is inside the walls. And when you have a sheriff who is adamant that no human trafficking takes place in Kootenai County, to the point where Nate Lewis says, we gave him the evidence, he chose not to act on it. But yet he's tied with Paul Van Noy, who all these accusations are coming out. And then you have a former Homeland Security special agent who specialized in human trafficking hanging around with the guys that are claiming that it doesn't exist. What in the hell is going on? I'm grateful for the opportunity to have run for the most important political office in this county. Met a lot of awesome people to this day that I hold very near and dear. We have such an amazing county. But let me tell you, we've got a lot of turds here too. And we are worried about going after the predators in this community because we don't know who we're going to catch in the net. That's why you have Neil Uhrig, former detective with Post Falls, who is now, my understanding, works with Secret Service, who came to Nate Lewis's seminar a year ago at Life Coffee in Coeur d'Alene. Great event. And you have a citizen that was making a comment. I was a law enforcement officer. When you are inside a event and you're not actually part of the event, Neil, you shut your mouth because you're just there to observe. But yet you, who are working for the Secret Service, had a very unusual reaction when this old vet got up and was talking to Nate Lewis and said, hey, you know, a lot of times these people are getting caught, judges and pastors and cops. And he went down a list. And Neil, you got up and you yelled, that's not true. You don't have to take my word for it. Go back and look at the videos that are online from that event. Why are you so defensive, Neil? I'll leave it there.
I think one thing that comes back to is these people expose themselves. They're doing evil, but for whatever reason, because the evil is controlling them, they also can't leave the truth alone.
Mm-hmm.
So you will find them coming out of their way to disparage and do anything that they can to disrupt the truth, because it's the only way that the evil that they're doing can retain power, or so they think. We don't know these people's names in advance. They came to us to disrupt and discredit because we're bringing you the truth. And it's that simple. It's that much of an affront to them. So as complicated as this can be with the different names and the different actors, it really is just as simple as that. And that is why it's so important to follow patterns. It's important to observe these behaviors and try to remove emotion from something like an emotional connection you have to Candlelight Christian Fellowship or Pastor Paul Van Noy, because that's been your community. That's where you feel connected. And I understand how that emotional connection and all that history, it risks that it clouds your perspective. You can't then not have a bias. You will defend it and be highly protective of it because it's painful to even think about.
Yeah. And I started to say and didn't quite finish the point. Having the privilege to run for sheriff in this county, I was originally running on my ideas, which I still totally believe in.
Mm-hmm.
But I was exposed to things that I never, ever believed in Kootenai County were even possible. I mean, I really should have, but I tended to put more faith in some of these places like the churches. We got 2 stink churches right here in Kootenai County.
I know for a fact you did. I mean, I know for a fact that it had been, while you've lived in this region your whole life, it had been a goal for a very long time. You know, you can't help where you're born, as some people will say. So you're just across the border in Spokane. And
it was a goal for a long time to be sheriff or to move
No,
here.
it was a goal for a long time because you've referred to Coeur d'Alene or Kootenai County as a shining, wanting it to be the example of a
city on a hill for all other counties to see what a free, liberty without compromise community looks like. People from all walks of life and different beliefs and ideations. And that's what we do here in America. We all celebrate the rule of law. And we come together in times of crisis because we have our teams ready to go. And Davalu and others couldn't stand that because they knew that there was power in bringing somebody like a Teresa Bornpool. You don't want to hear this. I know you don't want to hear this. But you can have experts like Teresa Bornpool with whatever she does. It is an expert working side by side with somebody that is ultra conservative and politically not aligned. However, for the good of the community, when an event were to occur, man-made or natural, you need everybody in your community to come together. And they didn't like that message. They didn't like it. They tried to smear me constantly, saying I was going to have an armed revolution, that I was going to arm a bunch of posse members, and it wasn't anything further from the truth. It was a model that Mark Lamb already enacted down in Pinal County, Arizona.
I want to finish my thought on what you believed Kootenai County to be, and that you truly were running on your own ideas. And I bore witness to this, that you believed Kootenai County to already be that place.
I did.
And it was why you wanted to grow roots here and to say, I'm going to continue my life in this region and plant here in Kootenai County and invest the rest of my days in this county. That was what you came here with, the belief, which is why you stepped up to run for sheriff as somebody who believed they could do a better job than what you were currently seeing, and to run on your ideas.
Which included everyone. It was not only inclusive of a select group, but.
So they came out and attacked, and then you have to meet that face to face. And it really then started to structure our campaign. We had to grow and move with that.
We did.
Because in part it was defense, but we ramped up to it very quickly and said, okay, we're going to get better at being ahead of these tactics. But to finish my thought, and I'm going to let you wrap up the program, we ran that race not knowing, not understanding the enemy or anything about what you'd be up against. And maybe that was us being naive and stars in the eyes, but that is the fact of the matter. By the end of that year, and with what you exposed, what we found, the people that came to seek, kill, and destroy, when we finished that part of the race, what we were left with is something you mentioned just a bit ago. Now I have the knowledge. Yeah. Now I have the knowledge of the
enemy
evil
within.
Yes. And so what is my responsibility now to what I know?
Yeah.
Do I go offline and move on with my life because we've got business ventures and things that we both respectively do in our lives that we love and enjoy? Do we just do that?
Well, I think that, part of this is, and there are going to be people that are going to hear this and they're going to take it the wrong way. So for those of you that do want to hear and understand what I'm saying is this. Most of my life, I have been totally fine with being alone and being the odd man out. That's why I went into business all those years ago, because you realize I don't want to be a part of this dysfunctional system. So I'm going to go out and blaze my own path. That's what self-made businessmen do.
It's the kind of guy you already are.
26 years.
Yeah.
But that's okay because it built in me a resolve, and through the code and the upbringing that my dad gave to me, to be able to withstand, and my personal relationship with Christ, that is a daily, reoccurring walk with. It's okay. I don't mind being the target for those out there that want to say Wilson is just pissed off because he didn't get elected. You got a bunch of free time on your hands. I mean, whatever it is, that's okay. Because guess what? I'm not going to any of your guys' pool parties or your birthday parties or your Christmas parties. I ain't sending any of you guys a Christmas card. You mean nothing to me when it comes to other than I care for the community at large, but I will take the fight because I've done it my entire life. It's not new, but I do it because I want you to be inspired. This isn't about me. It's about the team of pro Kootenai County, pro Constitution, pro Bill of Rights, pro morality, pro family, pro doing the right thing. It amazes me how many of you watch movies and you watch the same plot over and over and over again. The little guy taking on the big machine. And when it happens right in front of you, you guys all want to be part of the big machine.
Yeah.
And it's not me. I'm not trying to claim that I'm some kind of a hero. I'm just saying, how many of you can't even see what's going on right in front of your eyes because you want to be part of the popular crowd? Yeah. Why don't you get to some of these questions? We'll answer them out through.
Well, I was going to let you do this.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Patrick Henry, one of my absolute all-time favorite founders, really had a very timely thing to say tonight. The eternal difference between right and wrong does not fluctuate. It is immutable, which means it is everlasting. It does not change. It's not Dan Wilson's truth. It's not Donna's truth. It's not Paul Van Noy's truth. The truth is indisputable. The truth is the truth. It is not relative. It transcends the laws of nature and nature's God. Put these into place, and it is not up to us to come up with our new form of morality or relativism.
Bjorn Handine, he was joining us on X and he was joining us on YouTube, changing platforms. You can do that. You can watch us on X, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. He says, if I'd been a Dan Wilson supporter back in 2024, I'd probably be in shape by now. Thought you might like that one.
All right. Pray for Jim. Jim is fighting very aggressive cancer. He has beat the odds of what the medical establishment and the failed VA. You want to talk about somebody that has been majorly screwed over? This dude is one of the bravest men I have ever met. Pray for Jim Harbin. Pray for healing. Pray for comfort for him. Remember, those of you out there, my friends, you didn't descend from cowards. You descended from mighty men. Men who had conviction. They did hard things. They gave their lives. They gave their fortunes because of their sacred honor. What are you going to do today to be worthy to step in the shadows of those men that gave us so much in this pursuit of liberty without compromise? See you guys soon.
Thank you for joining us tonight on the Liberty Without Compromise live stream broadcast. Only ones doing it here in Kootenai County. A lot of times hard to hear. Rather just, do this stuff, right? Stay comfortable. Visit our website to watch past episodes. That's at libertywithoutcompromise.com. For anybody listening back on the replay, engage with those QR codes that are going to be up in the corner throughout the broadcast. Sometimes you get extra videos, extra footage, or it's going to lead you to more information. That's going to be very important. Anybody listening back on our podcast, join us every Wednesday night live at 7 p.m. And you like them podcasts, you can listen and subscribe wherever you get your shows.
If you get a chance, go up to Stella's Cigars in Spirit Lake. One of my favorite hangouts. Go talk to Brad or Lisa. Try the Olmec cigar by Foundation. You will probably be in love with it as much as I am. If you have a favorite stick, share it with me. I'm always looking for good sticks to smoke. Speaking of which, it's time for you and me to go drink a little more scotch and smoke a little smoke.
All right. Smoke a little smoke.
Be strong and courageous.